your heart would break in two. Remember, someone is praying for you.
Are you hurt?
Knights of Guinevere essentially places a veil of mystical fantasy over actual dystopian horror. Imagine winning a golden ticket to see Charlie's Chocolate Factory just to find out the chocolate is actually made from human children. That's the type of timing this show is on. As with many fairy tales, the show opens with a disembodied voice telling the tale of a princess trapped in a tower. At first glance, we're tricked into thinking the damsel in distress is the little girl in a purple dress, Olivia. But far from it, she's actually the captor. In a symbolic sense, she's the dragon guarding the tower, and the showrunners leave those two horns in her hair to remind us. The real captive here is the android princess Guinevere. This sets the tone for the show very early on. It teaches us to not take things at face value, because much darker truths may lay beyond. In this show, entire planets are being terraformed into theme parks, the Park Planet franchise, with Guinevere as its mascot. If you've seen Steven Universe, you'll remember how the diamonds spread their reach across the cosmos, conquering worlds and terraforming them for gem production. They exploited each planet's resources and inhabitants, draining the life from them in the process. The park planets work the same way. Worlds are stripped down and rebuilt as attractions. Their natural resources get consumed, and the people face the adversities of it all. One of such adversities is blue lung. Something sinister is clearly going on behind the scenes in the management and maintenance of Park Planet, and the show puts the evidence right in our faces. Babies are being born blue. People are coughing up blue sludge. There's a billboard showing workers handling barrels of blue fluid with the slogan, "We just can't do it without you," with the U highlighted blue. On the surface, it reads as appreciation for supporters, but the undertones are much darker. People may be getting used as fuel to keep Park Planet running, but maybe that's a bit too grim. Actually, scratch that. It'll be rather fitting. Let's go back to where it all started. The first mention of Park Planet comes when Orville Park unveils it to his daughter as a gift, seemingly to compensate for some unspoken family tragedy, one he more than likely contributed to. I have a theory about what may have happened. Orville was obsessed with his work. He didn't care about the lengths he had to go to achieve his dream of planet-spanning industrialization. I don't think his wife was happy about that. She saw how grim his plans were, how unethical, human minds mixed into android bodies, subjected to a controller's will, the possibilities of mass pollution damage from his schemes. But Orville was blinded by ambition. He had a one-track mind. I believe his wife and daughter died either from his recklessness or perhaps worse. He intentionally killed his wife to bury the secrets she knew. Look at the photo in Olivia's room. You see Orville, Olivia, and a third figure with the head cropped out, most likely Olivia's mother. But in that photo, Olivia has black hair. This is intentional. The Olivia we see now is completely different from who she was before. She's an android, but I believe more human than machine, because as we see, she's able to grow. Listen carefully to the robotic sounds her body makes.
Go on, take a look.
Their tall tales became indisputable.
What Orville says to her is another telling sign. He tells her to let her past fade away.
You're here now. Do you understand?
That emphasis on here points to something that was created. This could be an android, built from fragments of the real Olivia's body and memories. Perhaps something similar to Astro Boy, an android with human emotions created by Dr. Tenma as a replica of his son Tobio, who died in a car accident. And as for Guinevere, I have a hunch she's modelled after Olivia's mum, but something went really wrong. Too much of her consciousness transferred into this android body, and now it feels like she's trapped inside this robotic vessel. Imagine the horror of that existence. It's why she needs her knights, to rescue her from this horror, and to take down the corporate machines built on the backs of the innocent. Also worthy of note, the family has a characteristic purple streak in their hair, and so does Gwen. Another pointer to her direct link to this family.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl. But Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction, Chemical X. Thus, the Powerpuff Girls were born!
The well-deserved shade at Disney isn't even subtle. The mascot, Guinevere, has her hair in two large spherical space buns that mirror Mickey Mouse's two large ears. Beyond that visual parallel, Guinevere embodies everything Disney is known for with its princesses. She exists in multiple iterations, many of which directly resemble prominent Disney princesses like The Little Mermaid and Snow White. She's a mold of the first-gen Disney princess, who wasn't allowed to exist outside the divine feminine. Pretty great voice, picks fruit, sings to animals, remains graceful even in dire situations, adored by everyone who sees her. She couldn't exist outside this perfect model of the ideal woman. Things did get better eventually. We have characters like Mulan, Merida, Moana, but the criticism still stands, and the show puts it everywhere.
Animals talk to you?
No.
Were you poisoned?
No.
Cursed?
No.
Kidnapped or enslaved?
No. Are you guys okay? Should I call the police?
The background shots tell a pretty clear story. One shows a live-action Guinevere poster with the tagline, "No one asked for it, so we're making it," and "This princess can save herself." An obvious jab at Disney.
You've told me before that your version of Snow White is different. What did you mean by that?
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird, weird.
There's a factory image that reads, "Your safety, your responsibility," hinting at the blatant lack of care for workers. My favourite is a sketch of Guinevere covered in notes like, "This part feels too violent, let's brainstorm," and "Center pupil plus keep dilated equals more appealing." It shows how nitpicky Disney is with showrunners, essentially stifling their creativity. In an interview about the show, Dana Terrace expressed frustration working with Disney and how she felt trapped. She spoke about finally feeling free to create. So this show is essentially a big middle finger to Disney and big studios that cage their artists, forcing them to mass-produce conformity and what's marketable at the expense of self-expression and nuanced storytelling. To further confirm it's a jab at Disney Channel, Glitch Studios released an ad for their Frankie and Andy plushies in a video titled "You're Watching Knights of Guinevere," meant to mirror Disney's "You're Watching Disney Channel" bumpers.
Hey, I'm Zendaya from Shake It Up. And you're watching Disney Channel. Looking good.
There's no doubt in my mind that Orville Park is based on Walt Disney. They both name their amusement parks after themselves: Disney World, Park Planet. Not to mention the resemblance is uncanny, and coincidentally they both had one biological child, a daughter. There's this cool detail of a QR code that leads to a story about Guinevere. It reads, "Alone in the forest, from the path she had strayed, Princess Guinevere cried, feeling lost and afraid. 'Oh, why are you weeping?' came a voice with a squeak. Guinevere was so shocked she replied with, 'An eek.' Then she saw that her tears had brought wondrous creatures, star pups, of all shapes and colours and features. 'Today is my birthday,' she said with a sigh, and my invites received not a single reply. The star pups all whispered, then nodded together. 'If it's friends that are needed, we will lend paw and feather.' So ballads were sung and cupcakes were nibbled, and the princess's tears became laughter and giggles. Andy and Frankie are really close friends. They live in District M7, in a house built on the head of a fallen Guinevere statue. They're hardcore Gwen fans. The list of chores makes it obvious that Andy is the more responsible one. She does most of the work and pays the rent. But when it comes to engineering, Frankie is levels above her. She's got that chaotic type of intelligence that breaks all the conventional rules, somehow managing to surpass engineers who go by the books. We see something similar in Arcane with Jinx. She didn't have the fancy tech and research labs of Piltover's scientists like Jace and Victor, but she cracked the code of Hextech in a fraction of the time it took them. It's like a case of wild magic versus refined magic, nature versus nurture, natural talent versus academic precision. There's a real chance Andy is jealous of this. When Andy was struggling to fix the dinosaur head, Frankie literally solved the problem without even realizing it. When Frankie asked how she fixed it, you can see Andy's mood shift as she brushes it off as a hunch. This isn't the only time Andy reacted like this either. When Frankie was geeking out about becoming a crownie with her, you can see Andy's smile drop. At first I thought this was just seething jealousy over Frankie's engineering skills. She wouldn't want her coming to the base and upstaging her. But I think it runs way deeper than that. Frankie is someone who doesn't see reality for what it is. She lives in a dream world, the same vision the Gwenbots have, some type of psychosis that puts a Disney filter over everything. And it's clear Andy knows what's actually going on at HQ. The blue babies, the blue lung, the insane commercialization and industrialization with prices only the upper echelon can afford. She knows about the nasty work behind the curtain, and probably wants to keep Frankie in this fantasy world where she adores the magic of the Gwenbots. That facade might crumble if she finds out the truth. I've got two theories on why Frankie might have that fantasy vision. Once again, we're comparing her to Jinx. Similar to Jinx, Frankie's hallucinations could be the result of trauma-induced psychosis. You can tell her upbringing was rough. She literally uses her eye socket to pop open a bottle. That detail alone paints a picture of what her childhood was like. And look at the way Sparky hits her, instantly giving her a black eye. That's supposed to be her father figure. The way he hits her makes you feel like it's a common occurrence. Sparky calls her Franklin, a more masculine name, because he treats her like his son, doing the gritty jobs. No mercy, not afraid to knock her out. Her actual name is Francesca. Then there's the chance her psychosis could be a side effect of the corporation's runoff and sludge, kinda in the same category as blue babies and blue lung. Speaking of which, blue baby syndrome is an actual condition that exists in real life, another name for cyanosis, which occurs in infants as a result of heart or lung defects. Frankie really wanted to work with Andy, not just because she was a good engineer. She wanted them to continue doing everything together, just like when they were kids. An interesting parallel with Frankie is the claw hand and how she failed to pick the Gwen doll as a child, but ended up picking the actual Gwenbot with her crane years later. Frankie works at the factory producing Gwen merch and doubles as a scrap collector, while Andy is in with the Crownies. The Crownies are workers of the corporation. Andy is an engineer at the corporation. The corporation charges extravagantly expensive prices, promoting industrialization and capitalism, which is why people hate the Crownies. They see them as extensions of the upper echelon class. This parallels the battle in Arcane between the people of Piltover and Zaun. Piltover was the city of riches and resources, while the people of Zaun fed on scraps, doing drugs and getting sick, because they were systemically oppressed. The Crownies mirror the Enforcers. The first clip we see of Frankie and Andy as kids shows them literally having to hack to get access to the same magic the upper echelon kids have freely. It shows that class division between the rich and the poor, and that's probably what pushed Andy to become a Crownie, being a sellout to her chums in order to survive. There's something Andy said that really stood out to me. We are all victims of the park. Everyone is so busy picking apart each other, they don't see the corporate hands at the wheel. It was so profound because it mirrors the world we live in today. The powers that be always try to divide us at every sector, based on religion, based on the colour of our skin, while they profit from the disparities and watch us burn ourselves alive. Overall, the show is a masterpiece. The lore, the animation, the voice acting. I'm genuinely looking forward to more. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe and drop a comment below. Shout out to my amazing channel members. And as usual, see you in the next one.